it's Jennifer from Belladonna's Botanicals, and I thought I would update the 2025 video for our creation process, and some things have changed since I recorded it almost 3 years ago. Sorry, my lighting in here is a little weird, so occasionally I turn into a ghost. So, anyways, so I wanted to update this video because some things have changed. Some things I just looked at the original video and wanted to give some more clarification on. And we've expanded. I have other colleagues now. We have, Lamia Nightstorm. She does our magical dirts, our spirit necklaces, talismans, and some other stuff. We have Magick Barbie's, some of her products. And we also have services from Vanessa Diamond. So each of those have their own everyone has their own processes, but we sort of align in the bill. But since the bulk of the products are created by yours truly, I wanted to talk about that a little bit. So I just wanted to start first and foremost and say Belladonna's Botanicals is a United States-based business, and we are also a woman-owned and disability-owned business as well. Hi, I am. Let's see. Wow. Do you got a minute? So I'm neurodivergent, autistic, and ADHD. I have autoimmune disease, chronic pain, joint issues. I spend a lot of time at the doctor. It's my health and social life. I just wanted to start with that preface because, sometimes that does impact our ability or my ability and things with the business at times. The first thing I want to say here is that all of our products, unless otherwise specified, like a crystal, are handmade with great care, and the entire process, and I take care of for my products, I do the entire process from the initial, like, what am I making, down to designing the labels, doing all the, making the physical products, and shipping them. Like, I do stem to stern, I do tip to tail, I do the whole thing. So none of our stuff is coming from overseas, others outside of, ingredients or packaging or something. Everything is made here. And I'm not making things in warehouses or not warehouses. So I'm not using sweatshops and factories to make our products. I'm making them right here. And my entire space is always a magically active space. So, and I do all different types of magic. Primarily I work more in the left-hand path aspect of occults, but that's not for everything I do. I'm also a Reiki master and a crystal healer. And I do a whole bunch of other things as well. So I'll get into that a little bit. All of our products, for the most part, are designed to be used by anyone, regardless of skill level or tradition or whatever type of magical, where you fit in the broad spectrum. Magical, you might be on the new age side, you might be on the left-hand path side, or anywhere in between. So we make things for everyone to use. And I mean, there's things that I make that I don't really use a lot because it's just not part of my practice or my tradition. But I have people who want those things. So with that, everything that we do is designed for anyone to use, and I don't send out particular specific spells or rituals. I can give advice on that, but everyone does things differently. And I have I have spirits that I work with. I do stuff on my own. Some people do a lot of things on the astral realm, some don't. So I make things so that anyone can use them there. So, but for that reason, because my traditions might be very different than yours, I'm not going to send you, a satanic ritual if you are a love and light, Wiccan who does not work with, darker spirits like that. So that's why I don't. And to be honest, I'm going to be 50 in June, and I am going, I'm going to be 50. So I grew up when, we had to, go to bookstores and libraries and cross our fingers and hope they had something of interest there. So, I mean, unless you come from a tradition that's passed down, that's a lot of us old folks experience there. But that's to say one thing. Right now in 2025 there is a enormous wealth of information. Now, Finding good information and good authors is another a horse of a different color and a story for another day. But that information's out there. If you want to do a binding spell, Google how to do a binding spell. Buy a basic book of witchcraft things. Like I keep, like a good recommendation for that would be Judika Illis's. She's like whatever. It's a giant book of like 5,000 spells or something like that. Just have a reference manual on hand. That's all. There's tons of YouTube videos. I'm a little sus on the witch talk TikTok side, and that might just be me because I'm old. But I don't always find a lot of that to be very well sourced, or the or information that I would call reliable. But it also depends on the source, like who's talking about it. So there's that. So speaking for my products, and this probably goes towards for everyone else as well, is our products are all handcrafted, as I mentioned. We use a variety of botanicals, essential oils, fragrances / synthetics, carrier oils, and other materials, and they're all imbued with magical energy because, as I mentioned before, I am a Reiki master and crystal healer, and I do a lot, I put a lot of work into the intentions. Now, am I doing gigantic, 10-day rituals for every single product? No, because I wouldn't be charging like $20 for them if I was. If that works for you, that works for you. I just find that for however I make things, people say our stuff works. So, and I use my stuff. I use other people's stuff sometimes to mix it up a bit, but yeah. So, and one of the other reasons I wanted to, update this video a little as well is that since I created that original one, we've got, the new products from like Lamia, Barbie, and services from Nessa. And also I started making candles and wax melts. So, there's some things I kind of, took out of rotation and offer a lot more custom and made to order options as well. So without further ado, I'm going to get into the nuts and bolts of it. So the types of products that we make. So some of them are historically based. So if you see something like Florida water or hot foot powder or Four Thieves vinegar, there's a rich history behind some of those. So I incorporate elements of that. So there's a lot of research that goes into some things I do. Some are intuitive. Some of them are from channeling, direct things from spirits I work with. Like Belial's hammer of justice case oil came about that way. Some of them are of my own design, like the witch's magic power oil, or like something that I don't see elsewhere. Like I made a financial uncrossing oil when I was having some financial issues, and it seemed like everything was going backwards and in the wrong direction. So sometimes I create things out of necessity. And then, if like, obviously financial uncrossing, like we all hit snags financially, whether it's, what's going on at the time. I've seen quite a few at my age, recessions, economic issues and whatnot. So, sometimes things happen like that. So when it comes to our products for different spirits, that's something that is a combination of like the known correspondences for a spirit. Some of them have a lot, and some of them it's like frankincense. Okay, so I need a little more than just frankincense to make an oil. So some of that in those cases, and this comes up a lot when I'm making custom oils for people, is okay, so let's look at the spirit, not just what are the known correspondences for the spirit, but what else, like what is that spirit for? Is this a goddess of love? Okay, well, if it's a goddess of love, we can throw some of our love herbs in, throw in a little bit of rose quartz, something like that. Or using the color correspondences. So maybe there's not a whole lot, or it's a very niche. I find that more with like the goetic spirits, is like sometimes they're just really specific niche things they do. So sometimes then I'll look at like, what are the color correspondences? Okay, so this one's blue. Okay, so maybe I'm gonna like throw some things in, like I'll look at like the blue crystals I have. So okay, then I'll throw in some aquamarine, and I'll look at, okay, well maybe I'll put in yarrow essential oil because it's actually comes out blue. So, or I'll put some blue glitter in, or I'll use like lilac or violets or lavender or butterfly peas, like things that have that color in it for that. So that's kind of how I approach some of that aspect of creating things. And the design process, as I said, a lot of times it's research, sometimes it's direct spiritual gnosis, and sometimes it comes from traditional recipes. Like when I first started making Florida water, what year was that? 2019, maybe. I did a whole lot of research into it, and I just kind of came up with what made sense for me to make it. And so I actually have to brew up some Florida water probably this week because I just ran out. So some of it, that's some of the overarching concepts. So going a little deeper, because this is sometimes things that come up that I get questions about, or I see people talking about. And I'm going to link a video below because I did a whole video on this of, is it okay to use substitutions and symbolic offerings in magical practices? And the short TLD answer is yes. So some of the considerations for symbolic use of ingredients is that some essential oils or some plants and things do not produce essential oils. Like most berries don't make essential oils. So you're not going to see a strawberry, a blackberry, blueberry, raspberry. You're not going to see essential oils for that. You'll see fragrance oils for it. You could probably make a tincture of it as well, but I don't think that would probably work the same way like an essential oil would. So that's one of the things there. So if you see something that has strawberry fragrance in it, and if there's not like an herbal correspondence towards it, like for raspberry, I could use raspberry leaf, but it's not going to have a raspberry smell to it because aroma is part of the concept as well when you're creating something. I could make something with all the 100% dank, across the board. These are the things you use to make this thing. And it could smell like crap, especially if it's got asafoetida in it. It will definitely smell like, it's nicknamed the devil's dung for a reason. It's one of the most unpleasant smelling things that I think I have. So some things are hard to find, like seasonal. Some things are kind of seasonal. Sometimes it depends on where it comes from. Like the road opener herb is called Abre Camino. There's only a few places I can get Abre Camino. And sometimes, depending on the time of year, they don't have it in stock. So that could be a reason for substitutions anyways. I mean, I tend to use it more in our road opener, or moving obstacles kind of products and things like that. But, when I can't get any, it becomes a little bit of a, okay, sometimes, I have to I haven't had that happen with that one in particular, but sometimes like it might be this takes Angelica. Well, I've only got Angelica essential oil. I don't have the herb. So maybe I'll put the essential oil in that instead of the herb, or vice versa. That happens very rarely. So, because, as we know, in the past 5 years, there's been, disruptions to supply chains. There's been a lot of inflation. Sometimes things just go out of stock and I can't get them anymore. Or they become so hard to get that they become very expensive. Like I've run into the issue with patchouli leaf several times over the years where there's just times of the year where it is really hard to get. And it might go from being $20 a pound to $90 a pound. So sometimes I'm just trying to get people to understand like some of the considerations we have to make when that we put into our product creation, or when we have to change things. So, and other things come from endangered species, like musk is a commonly associated with different spirits, but musk, which comes from, originally was used in perfuming, comes from deer glands, is illegal. Like you cannot use the animal product of musk anymore. So I use a fragrance or synthetic fragrance oil for that. Like you kind of have to. There's no real way around that. Some things are very expensive, like rose essential oil. A 5 milliliter bottle of it, which is maybe a teaspoon tops, is probably about $250. Now, Rose Absolute, which is a solvent extraction versus steam distillation. I'm also a certified aromatherapist, so I get technical about things sometimes. So sometimes things are very expensive. So we have to kind of look at, well, how are we using this? Am I using this Rose Absolute in like high-end cosmetics and perfuming? No. But what a lot of places do have are sort of like, it's mixed in a base, like say, sometimes fractionated coconut oil or propylene glycol or something where you get a percentage of the actual like rose essential oil. So it's like maybe 10% of it. And then it's sort of blended with a carrier. And in some cases, I will just decide to use a fragrance oil for it. Because do you want a $200 bar of soap or do you want like a $20 bar of soap? Because some things when it comes to the volume you need, and we'll get into that a little bit with candles. So the volume of fragrance you need to make a candle actually smell is a lot. Like I can use, Jesus, I think like, and I'm not making 100 candles here, but I can use probably close to 8 to 10 ounces of fragrance for like one small batch of candles. And that's just out of like a 10 to 12% fragrance throw. So yeah, I'm not using pure essential oils and candles. Most people aren't unless they're charging like $100 for a fancy candle. And even then that's probably just the brand of the candle at that point. I see that a lot on like Macy's sells candles and sometimes I'll see like, I'm like $150 for a boring ass candle. Okay. But so that is something to take into consideration. Like I stopped using white sage in our products. I use sometimes I have like a tiny little bit because it comes extra in things sometimes, but I mostly use white sage fragrance oil as a symbolically representing white sage. So that's how you can use things symbolically. If you can't get the thing or you choose not to use the thing, you can use that and that's fine. Some of the considerations I take in are allergies. I had to stop using mullein leaf in our products because it was making I would get like bright red and itchy and I would be coughing nonstop. And I was like, you know what? I can't do this. I can't keep using this. So I had to like phase that out of our products. I'm speaking, on allergies and stuff. We have an extensive knowledge of safety when it comes to essential oils and herbs, and we may make substitutions based on our technical knowledge for your safety. Because I'll use something. Cinnamon essential oil is one that I use a lot. Some of these essential oils are so potent and strong, and they're also mucous membrane irritants. You only make the mistake of putting lemongrass essential oil and peppermint essential oil in your bath once because things be, yes, burning and sensation intensifies. I do not want you to have a bad reaction to something, so I'm not going to be putting lemongrass essential oil in, say, a bath salt or a body wash because that's going to cause some not so pleasant reactions. I will use a lemongrass or peppermint or cinnamon fragrance that is skin safe. Because even with fragrance oils, like I have to be cognizant that some are skin safe and some are for candles only. There is a difference. Some can go either way, but some are very specific. So, when I'm designing things, I take that into consideration. I might put a little bit of cinnamon essential oil in something like, say, a ritual oil, and then add other essential oils or add some fragrance to it to give it more of the smell of cinnamon, because if I put that much cinnamon in it, these things can cause real harm. Like I forget what it was now, but yeah, go look up like chemical burns from bergamot oil or cinnamon or stuff like that. And don't do it on an empty stomach. And I did warn you, you can get very, very bad chemical burns from some of these things. Like some essential oils are phototoxic, meaning if I go put some, I'll get into the technicalities, some bergamot essential oil on myself, go out in the sun, I'm going to come back with probably a 3rd-degree burn. Now that's because the phytochemical in it, I believe is what the technical term is called, is furanocoumarins, which are the phototoxic thing. And they're in a couple other, so it's bergamot, angelica, what's the other one that has that in it? But I buy bergamot essential oil that is FCF, furanocoumarin free. So you don't have to worry about that as much with, that's not going to be an issue with anything that we make that has bergamot in it. I'm very specific about that for that reason. That's also why I don't use a lot of angelica root essential oil and things, is because it would have the same, it could potentially have the same reactions to it. Chemical burns are not your friend. And just because it's natural doesn't mean it's safe. I know that all too well from working on the poison path side of things. I'm perfectly, I know how to work with, toxic herbs and the balance in between, is this going to be fun or is this going to kill me? Because, you have to know things, technical things like, do you know what the LD50 of Datura stramonium is? I don't know it off the top of my head, but it's a very important thing to know when you're working with these things, because that's, the LD50 is the dose at which this would be toxic, like unalivingly toxic at that level in 50% of the population. It would off them. So, you want to kind of stay away from the LD50. So there are a lot of technical considerations I have to put in to our creative process. So, and I'm very well educated on such things. So just to give you my street cred here. So I am a Reiki master, as I mentioned, crystal healer, certified aromatherapist, herbalist, perfumer, and skincare formulator. So I bring my unique background in all of that, and I've taken a bazillion courses on everything in the world, which I'll get to in a minute. Because I have that brand of autism where I just like to learn all the things. And then the type of ADHD that's like, we need to know all the things about all the things. So I'm constantly learning and reading and stuff like that. So, Belladonna's Botanicals, provides high quality handcrafted metaphysical and self-care products, including candles and candle wax melts. We still do some flying ointments and tinctures, ritual oils, powders, incense, all sorts of bath products. So we have bath salts, body washes, bath and body oils, bubble bath, soap, and also we have like the different sprays and fragrances, with the stuff that Lamia makes. So we have like the talismans and spirit necklaces. We get the magical dirts in when we can. She also provides some services as well. Vanessa Diamond does a bunch of like ritual spell services. I don't do as much because my time is very, like, doing all of this is a lot. And I am, as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, I do have some health concerns that do impact my ability to do things sometimes. So as much as I would like to do all the things, I sometimes can't. So she does that. Barbie has her products like slut water, and and she has some talismans and amulets and jewelry and all that. And so what are my credentials? So on the energy work and healing side, I've done 2 different crystal healing certifications. I've done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different Reiki certifications. I'm a Reiki master, so I've done a lot of witchcraft and magical studies because, like I said, like to learn all the things. And I've done a wide variety of that over the years, and some of it I don't even think I've put on my great list of things I've done. And I've studied a lot of specific things to I'm looking at my little list here. Okay, we broke it down. Okay, so on the herbalism, plant medicine, and poison pathing, I've done several courses in that. Some year I will finish up my online herbal immersion program through the Chestnut School of Herbal Medicine. I work on it. I keep trying. It's just a very intensive thing. Like I don't always have like the time and wherewithal to go out and do an experiment on soil propagation or whatever. My background in aromatherapy, natural skincare, and perfuming is probably about a full page long. I'm not going to bore you with all the details, but I did a lot in those areas. So, and I also have a Bachelor of Fine Arts in art history and studio arts. So that's kind of why I do a lot of what I do, is that I just have, again, I've done all the things. So I went to art school. So I've pretty much taken something in almost every field, except for maybe interior design. That was a little too mathy for me. But interior decorating, yes, I could teach a bomb class on advanced altar design, like nobody's business. But so yeah, like I predominantly did photography in college. So I do all my own product photography. I know how to use, I do all my video editing. I record my videos, I edit my videos, I make the little fun graphics for them. I do a lot of that stuff, because I have a degree in, art history and design. I also studied a lot of like philosophy, theory, criticism, aesthetics, and things like that. So I have a very, very diverse skill set and multiple areas of expertise. So also spent a lot of my pre this career doing like not so much website design, but web content management. So I would use things like, I use Shopify for my website now, but I've used WordPress, Drupal, proprietary software systems. I'm like stretching my brain on some of them. So I've used a lot of different systems and know how to manage website, web data, social media, blog stuff, all that. So I also have that as well, plus the skills of like photo editing, video editing, all of that. So not to get too off topic here, but yeah, and I think I'm going to leave some videos down below in the links below, because I'm now thinking, now that I got to the end of the video, that this is probably just going to be this is what Belladonna's Botanicals does. And this is our, creation process, a little bit about us. I'll give you some links below to, like, I have an entire video playlist on my occult origin story, because I can never really be succinct about anything. It just doesn't happen. So, where can you find us? Now, that's a good question, and some of that's going to be changing. So right now, again, all of our links to stuff currently are below. Some of that will be changing. But our website is belladonnasbotanicals.com. We do have links to all of our social media there. Currently, you can find us on social media outside of YouTube. We're currently on Blue Sky, Threads, Facebook, Instagram, and Pinterest, I believe. At the point of this, at the time of recording this in 2025, we may be leaving Meta platforms at some point. We are looking at other options such as Substack, and revitalizing our Patreon, and combining that with the Discord. Some of that is in process at this time, so stay tuned. Be sure to subscribe to our channel, and I would say follow us on social media, but honestly, the algorithms are so terrible at this point, I don't even know if you'd see our stuff anyways. So I would say the two best ways to keep up with us are our e-newsletter and by subscribing to our YouTube channel. Those would be the two best ways to consume our content and keep apprised of what is going on with us at any given time, because sometimes shit happens and stuff comes up. So I think that's mostly it. We are that I think that's all for now that I'm going to put in this video. So you just, and there's a bunch of resources and links in here otherwise if you want more information, like you want to really read every single like certification I've taken over the years, if that's of interest to you. I don't know, I'm a giant nerd, so I'd probably read that myself. Links to our bios, links to other videos that I talk about. Like I mentioned in the part where I was talking about substitutions and symbolic offerings. That is something that, so thank you for watching. Don't forget to click like and subscribe. Please sign up for a newsletter, links below, and follow us on YouTube and keep, we're always doing something, and we'll have new products coming out. We always do. And thank you. I love you all. Bye.